Hi there, it's Daniel from vFlow. I quickly wanted to show you how to do the customized invoice creation with dompdf as a Woocommerce functionality. Quickly, my background is we running myeu.africa. It's an international shipping site where customers basically have a post box in Europe and get their stuff forwarded to South Africa. That thing is based on the logic where we basically receive items, convert them into WooCommerce products, and then we can use shipping plugins and the standard checkout process to create an order from that. So we have a highly customized user experience here. I'm basically not using the WooCommerce UIs and have my your own UI framework sitting on top of that. So this is a guy here. That's the address you have in Germany. So he's got some items in his post box. I can go here now and create a shipment from that. In our context, it's important to give them an address book, so customers have a variety of addresses they can use for billing and shipping addresses here. So let's just stick with whatever is in here. Here he's got some items. So if I hit get quotes now, it's basically a customized version of going to the WooCommerce checkout page where the shipping plugins now go out and get rates. It's a terrible slow setup here in my local home environment running against the test environments of UPS and DHL. So it's taking a while. So now you see the customer is getting different quotes. It's basically normally what you see in the checkout card from WooCommerce here in our own presentation. I can click on one of these orders now and or quotes and create an order in the backend. I won't do that right now. I'm busy fiddling around with the payment, so that's not going to go through. But in general, it creates orders, as we all know. Here, this is, for instance, a shipping order that I created before. So there's a bunch of items in here. Down here, you can see the front ends from DHL and UPS. Let me try to create a DHL shipment here right now. So I can basically then automatically let it pack into some boxes. I hope it's going through now here. It's a wild development environment right now. I'm busy on other things. Let's see what he said. So he created a shipment. Here's the tracking link. Of course, it's all dummy stuff. It's running against the test environments. But the important part is here it creates a commercial invoice. It's a nice document. Unfortunately, German customs now asked me to put my South African company as well as the German partner company details into the sender address. So neither with DHL nor with UPS I was getting any joy to get that configured. So what did we do? I created my own way of generating custom invoices. Also has the beauty that they are consistent between DHL and UPS, which they are not. They look completely different here. So how did we do that? There is a nice little library out there called dompdf. I'll show you here. This is basically, I create my own plugin here for the myeu service. And then in this plugin, I've got a library installed, dompdf. You get that thing for free. What it does, it takes an HTML document and converts it into a PDF. Very easy to use from a PHP perspective. So all there was left to do was create a template. So I created this template here, very static, simple, sober PDF document. Of course, it's a very technical document here for customs. For customers, you would put some graphics and be a little bit more fancy on design probably. But what you can see, it's a very basic HTML document. You see here, I've got some line break issues here in my code. Putting that aside, here you see placeholders. So let me show that in the code. So this is basically the end-to-end HTML document that represents this invoice. I've got a bunch of placeholders in here. I've got full authority here, so I must not be too worried about prefixes, suffixes, and making them unique. I'm the only person editing that document. So how that works now is, first of all, we have to replace the placeholders with order data. So how did I do that? Let me know. I closed the wrong document here. Let me quickly get that thing open again. So I wanted to have the functionality basically out of the order admin page. Which means when I'm here editing an order, in the same way I can download the DHL UPS invoices from here, I want to do it on this page. So what I did is I created a new order action here. Now I can say get commercial invoice. I push the trigger, and here we are. You saw that document is only a whopping 4.6 kilobyte big. And you see a beautiful commercial invoice. Yeah. Here is the real problem. I have a very hectic set of sender details here. Also, the beauty on that approach is if we, for instance, import stuff made in Germany under preferential import tariffs, we need to have additional declarations on the invoice, so I can just put a tick box somewhere and decide what kind of declarations appear on my document. So how did we do that? First of all, you see there is a part of data which is specific to the order. Then there's a part of data which is specific for each item. And then down here we have got some totals. And then here these declarations. So how did we do that? So I created this template, and then I simply just created a method that is loading this template and first of all replacing all placeholders with actual order data. So I created a function in order to have it in the admin screen. I added an order action. I will show later how I do that. Here there's an action, Woocommerce order action, which is registered here. So there's a bunch of order actions I register for the order admin screen. Very simple process. Here you define the action. Then they have a prefix, and here this is basically the action name that you see on the other side as well. Yeah. That thing gets the order ID if it is called from a different environment. If it is called from the order admin page, this thing actually contains the order object. Hence, down here you find a little snippet of code where I check whether it is a stringish thingy. If it's not a stringish thingy, I assume it's the order object. And if it is a stringish thingy, I assume it's the order ID, so I call wc get order to get hold of the order objects with all details. Yeah. This code is still very raw, not much error handling, that kind of stuff. It's still frizzling in my pen. So now I've got all the order details via the Woocommerce order API, straightforward. Then I have another function which basically says get the commercial invoice HTML. Once again, I put the order as a parameter into it, and that thing just gives me a string that represents the HTML of that web page. So down here is this function. Yeah. So I am telling him where to load my template. Then I simply use file get contents to load that template into a string. Then, of course, each order has items, and each item has to inject its own little HTML snippet. These snippets will come in here. It's basically exactly the same logic I built for the items like for the whole order. We'll look at it later. Then I have to aggregate some totals here. When I loop through the items, I might as well calculate the values and weights and stuff like that. So that thing gives me back an array where I not only get the HTML, but also the value and the weight of the blah blah. Then there is a bunch of shipping methods. They spit out long strings. I don't want to have these long strings on my document. I only want to have DHL or UPS here. They come up with DHL, Express, Medical, Urgent, Super Service, I don't know what. So I'm putting in my custom strings here. And then I basically follow a very, very simple logic. Let me show you the template again. So this is an HTML document which contains certain placeholders. then I basically define something like, let's call it a dictionary array of key and value pairs. So the key is exactly the placeholder, and the value is whatever data I want to write in there. So I can get the order date, I can get the ID, first name, blah, 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 all that boring order data. You see the Woocommerce API is very simple in spitting out these values and elements, absolutely no rocket science. Here, items HTML is getting a snippet of HTML. In this item table, each item has to create its own little row. Let me show you that in the browser here. Each item basically has to create a table row that represents one of these here. So in the document, you see basically a table with the first row, and then the second row comes from as items HTML. So if I have this data dictionary, all I have to do is run over that dictionary. So I can loop through these key value pairs here and simply say, take that HTML string and replace the key with the value. Straightforward. Yeah, very simple. So with these few lines of code, I basically created a formatted, filled out HTML document, which pops up here then. And now I'm going to create an instance of the dompdf object. This is the dompdf namespace here. Then dompdf has a method called load.html where I can dump in my HTML string. Then I tell them I want to have that thing in A4 in portrait orientation. And I say render. So then I create an output file name. And then I can tell dompdf to immediately stream that thing to an attachment to whoever requests it. And that's basically it. Yeah. So regards to converting from HTML to PDF, it's really just very few lines of code. For me, the most time I spent on creating this HTML document. Yeah. I'm using this kind of dictionary replacement also for other XML documents we create for German custom applications and that kind of stuff. So very straightforward, very easy. I can highly recommend to play around with it. It's not affecting any other things. The plugins are not affected. No other invoice creation methods are affected. So you can really build something standalone without messing anything up in your shop. And yeah, look into it. It's for me big fun and satisfaction to do something like that on my own. Yeah, have fun. I hope you learned something.